her on and off.
I'm sorry. We want to record this. Is it okay with everybody? Please.
All good.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, so I've been working with Claire on developing biomimicry education materials for a very long time. And this all kind of really came to a head when we developed these online courses, which some of you will know about, some of you won't. But Claire comes from the kind of chemical engineering background, which progressed into becoming a biomimicry professional. I come from a graphic design and communication design background, spent far too many years toiling away in advertising and retail. So depleted my soul and then migrated over to educational design eventually. And so we co-founded Learn Biomimicry on top of the courses, and we worked with another company called Rewild Africa, who are kind of the third leg of the tripod of Learn Biomimicry. So I hope that just gives you a little sense of who we are and where we're at. And without further ado, let me tell you more about why we're here. If Zoom will let me proceed to the next slide. Okay, so I'm here to tell you about learning to design a living, thriving world. So today we'll be unpacking what this means. So in the world of ongoing skills development, what does vision-based learning look like versus learning only through a prescribed set of linear steps? And as for designing a living, thriving world, what does this actually mean to live and thrive, to be regenerative, resilient, agile, and to integrate development with growth? So this talk is for anyone who wants to better understand the tangible visionary potential of biomimicry and how you can take your next or maybe even your first steps in gaining the practical skills that you need in order to radically transform your practice, company, or industry. So this will be news to some of you, it'll be old news to some of you, but here we go. So I'm going to shuffle this order around a little bit, and let's first start speaking about what does a living, thriving world actually look like? And to me, it can really look like anything. It depends on where you are in the world. I mean, we always see these kind of swooshy high glass buildings that are draped in green stuff, which is great, but that's not going to work in, you know, a hot African context. You know, you might see big sprawling open spaces, but that doesn't necessarily work in a tight city center. So for me, what's really exciting is to imagine in your own context, in Switzerland, in France, in South Africa, you know, what does a living, thriving world actually look like? What if you close your eyes and imagine walking through a city, for example, what might that look like? But, oh, come on, sorry, it doesn't want to, it's not very keen on advancing to the next slide. So for me, what's really important, and this is something that comes up in biomimicry, is that what we're really looking at is the function. So here, we like to think that, you know, living, thriving world would be somewhere that is building soil, it's cycling the water, it's cleaning the air, it's incorporating diversity, and it's building healthy regenerative habitats. So overall, it's creating conditions conducive to life. And we see these kind of functions showing up again and again in natural ecosystems. And we have things like biomimicry life principles to actually help us extract those principles and learn from what it's doing so that we can actually replicate this in our designs. So as long as those kinds of functions are appearing in this daydream of yours, that you're on the right path. So this is good. So keep asking those questions of how it might do this. And that's sort of where we're going to be delving into next. So I love this diagram from Daniel Christian Wahl, and it was from his article around salutogenic cities. So salutogenic, saluto meaning health and genic meaning to create. And this is looking at how do we create health creating cities. And what he did so nicely working with Flavia is actually breaking down all the different kind of layers that you might see in a system, a living system. Sort of in the human world. So we'll see right down to the end here, we have green chemistry and then product design, moving out to architecture, moving out to communities design, zooming out further to industrial ecology, and even further to urban planning. Zoom out another step and you have bioregional planning, and you zoom out again and you'll see national, international collaboration. And I know this diagram can be quite a lot to take in just, at first glance, but what for me is so exciting about it is that it really gives you a sense of where you might be on the map. So are you there designing organizations and systems? Are you there designing buildings and towns? Are you down in the product design sector? Are you actually looking at how all of these things fit together, perhaps through different kinds of services? So for me, it is so important to really contextualize the fact that we are all working together in these kind of nested systems. And so that the goal of designing a living, thriving, health-creating city or health-creating world really does encompass everyone, right? So for me, I'm going to take the next step to looking at what does it mean to design. Now, when you Google design, when you look into a stock thing going like, what does a designer look like? Turns out you have to have a healthy supply of denim shirts, plaid shirts, probably a nice swishy computer, and an inordinate amount of color swatches. I've worked in the design and ad industry. I don't think I've ever seen so many color swatches. But, so for me, I just get so despondent when I see this and people go, oh, I'm not a designer. I can't design anything because this is what's popping to mind. It just really drives me insane. So it's not that they're wrong, right? They're absolutely right that these people are kind of doing some kind of design, but it's just that it's so limited. And what happens when you wake up, when you make a change to something, when you create something, you're designing. So whether that's a city, whether it's a business, whether it's a textile or a product, whether it's the next solar panel, you're doing some crazy chemical engineering, whether it is an agricultural system, whether it is the next software system, every single time you are participating in something, you are designing. And I really just wanted to emphasize this point to just really illustrate that we are all part of this and we really are all designers, not just the people with the denim shirts. Denim shirts are great, nothing against them. So what's so beautiful about biomimicry is that it really not only invites everyone to the table, but it invites them to really connect and work together because you have to. So nothing at all in nature is, everything in nature, I should say, is multifunctional, and nothing happens in isolation. Everything is completely interconnected. And the beauty of biomimicry is that because we're kind of translating between biology and design and engineering and business and all these different kinds of fields, is that we're having to learn the language that allows us to bridge these gaps. So business people are learning to have to speak to engineers, who are learning to have to speak to biologists, who are learning to have to speak to system designers. And it's this really incredible way to not only kind of start to break down the silos that we are so kind of familiar with in our working worlds, but also to kind of gain a richer understanding of how the world works and what we're kind of working towards. And so that's really what excites me so much about biomimicry and the mindset that comes with it. And so what I always like to say is that, biomimicry is a mindset and a methodology. So when it comes down to learning biomimicry, we're not teaching you how to practice biomimicry per se, we're teaching you how to design a living, thriving world. So this is what I meant by, a vision-led learning, vision-led design, as opposed to just going, oh, great, I have my steps 1 to 5. If I just follow these, everything will be fine. Because what happens in biomimicry is that you're still able to design something that is inspired by nature, but if it doesn't have the right ethos, if it's not working towards a living, thriving world, then you can just have a biodegradable weapon of mass destruction. You really have to kind of have that vision behind it and that understanding of the ethos. So maybe this sounds all well and good and you're going, great, yeah, okay, Jess, thanks very much. Where to from here? So let's jump into the next section, which is looking at how do we actually learn biomimicry.
Before we do that, are there any questions? Are there any of you who have a very simple question and have not dared to ask it yet? Like, for example, anything. If you have, please unmute yourself or drop it in the chat, because it's important to get those questions answered so that you can keep on understanding. I think you can continue, Jess. I'm going to monitor the chat, and if one of them pops into the chat, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So what I really enjoy as well about biomimicry is that it teaches you how to design for context, and that might be a small context and it might be a big context. So everything in nature is, like we looked at that diagram, it's nested, it operates at different kind of scales, and we can be actually cognizant of that when we are designing. So, question of the hour, how do we learn biomimicry? Well, so glad you asked. If you're Claire and I, you spend months and months and months building on talks that you've done, education workshops that you've done, books that you've created, all sorts of things, and you take lots and 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 lots of information from all sorts of sources, from talks to books to everything from economics to systems thinking to biology to basic definitions, and like a good whiskey, you distill it into something that you can learn from. So that is exactly what we did. And we realized that often people come to us and they said, like, look, I've watched these talks and I've read these articles, but I just don't know where to go from here. How do I actually get into this? Or how do I move on? Or they've been to a workshop, but they kind of go, okay, and so what we really wanted to do was give people a place to be able to really sink their teeth into biomimicry and get a great foundational understanding of it. And you'll see coming up, I'll explain a bit more about the courses themselves, but the idea was that somebody should be able to come to this platform and not only understand the basic things like, oh, we're talking about emulating form, or this is what it means to, distill a design principle, these are what life principles are, but they should really be able to understand why we're doing it. And that's actually our very first module, is why biomimicry. Because if you don't really understand why you're doing something, you're not really going to want to do it. So it was very important for us that we actually contextualized biomimicry in the space and gave all of these options. So what we developed were 3 short courses. So we have the Introduction to Biomimicry, we have Biomimicry Life's Principles, and we have Biomimicry Masterclass. And within these, drum roll please, while Zoom loads the page, we have the various kinds of breakdowns. So in the Introduction to Biomimicry, this is where you really get to grips with the fundamental concepts and how to learn from nature. So not about nature, but from nature. So we look at why biomimicry, what is biomimicry, how do we do biomimicry? And for each of these, you have a digital handbook, as well as things like quizzes and a certificate of completion. Then within the Biomimicry Life's Principles, we actually discover how nature's deep patterns and principles inform our designs. So we look at an introduction, an overview, what each one is in depth, and what each one looks like applied. And this is quite important for us the whole way through, because a lot of the time biomimicry stays in this very kind of theoretical realm. Imagine if you could, But what we really wanted to illustrate is the fact that these things are happening, and then also being able to go, look, they got so far, but how could we take this further? And so constantly kind of bringing in things that are actually happening and seeing, you know, could we maybe push them as well? But it was really important to us that there was real life examples of all of these things, very tangible. And then in our biomimicry masterclass, the first one, there will be more, we're looking at systems level transformative innovation guided by biomimicry. And I really wish that Claire could have been here to describe this, because this is her absolute favorite. Claire is like a systems thinker through and through. For those of you who know her, you'll definitely be nodding round about now, I'm sure, because she just gets so excited at systems level transformation. And I have to admit, it's pretty contagious. So we're looking at just a general introduction to all of this thinking, but then what is the integrated perspective on all of this? And then we look at systems thinking and places to intervene in a system. So that's a leverage points from Danella Meadows. And we're looking at biomimicry and systems innovation. So within each of those, we go into biomimicry and water systems, energy systems, organizations, and etc. And we really dig into what does the world look like if we applied biomimicry to all of these different system levels. And I can tell you it looks a whole lot better than it currently is. So here's hoping. This is what we're working towards. And I wanted to just show you, so here are just some images for those of you who don't know it. This is what the course kind of looks like on the inside. So here are just some little shots of the various kind of videos and what it would look like. And I have a video on the next page, but I thought I'd put this here just in case the video doesn't work. So let me give it my best shot and see if it plays. It's just really to illustrate what the course looks like. Let's see what it does. So there you go. It's a little sneak peek of what the videos look like. Oh no, don't do this video. So as I mentioned as well, the courses all have handbooks that actually go with it. And the reason that we set this up was that because we knew that there was so much information and most of us just don't actually have time to really go through this. So all of the videos in the courses are set up to be between 6 and 12 minutes long, sort of generally not much more than 6. And the reason being is that we know that everyone has very busy lives and you just want to be able to stop and start and pick it up and put it down. But we didn't want all of that beautiful, rich information to get lost along the way. So we created these handbooks that actually accompany each course. And within these, you'll be able to find all sorts of things like various links, various quotes, various activities. And this really goes into much more depth than the video section of the course itself, but without you having to lose it. So these you can go through at your leisure, they're yours forever. And you can really keep referring back to them as well. So that's where all of the deepness comes in. And of course, I'm just going to name drop here a little bit. We've got a, you're welcome. So at the end of each course, then you also get a certificate of completion, which is endorsed by Biomimicry South Africa, of course, us as Learn Biomimicry, but also the Biomimicry Institute, who are our education partners. And they were the very first people to come on board and endorse our courses and give us the stamp of approval to say, we love this, please tell people about it, go forth and put it into the world. So we're really excited about that. So all of the certificates are endorsed by them as well. Now, in case you think that Claire and I were just having fun sticking things on slides, there is just a little bit of theory behind this, which, if you know anything about learning theory, Vygotsky's zone of proximal development will probably sound quite similar to you. But this just looks at how people progress from one state of knowing to the next. So if you know nothing, or let's take your current knowledge, let's say you're sitting over here in the yellow section. So this is what you're comfortable with, you know this, you understand this. This could be at any point on your journey, but this is what you know currently. And the green section is where you can get to with a little bit of help. You could make that leap with just, a few prompts, a few hints, a little bit of understanding. But what you can't do is jump from the yellow section straight through to the blue. And that was really important for us because we didn't want to take somebody who knows nothing about biomimicry and then drop a whole lot of systems theory and all sorts of crazy life principles and everything on them and just assume that they'll get it. So it is very important for us to actually scaffold the learning so that each course actually builds on one from the next. So you'll have your biomimicry, introduction to biomimicry, which is kind of the best place to start. Then you'll move forward into your life's principles, getting there, and just end up with your biomimicry masterclass. And for us, this is really, to be honest, what we're really secretly excited for you to get to, because while we're obviously really excited if anyone starts anywhere, it's so exciting when we get to the systems level thinking, because that's where we start really thinking about how to design for a living, thriving world, because now we're taking that zoomed out level and going, wow, I could really apply my skills here and here and here and here. Not to say that you have to do that, but it just gets really kind of exciting at that level as well.
There are two questions,
yeah.
Jess.
Yes,
Marcia, would you like to unmute yourself and to ask the question, or shall I read it out?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Marcia. I'm second B Pro cohort graduate and graduate from the master's program at ASU. Was in the cohort with Claire and Jacques. Yeah, so I was just jumping in here to learn more about Claire's courses. My questions were around the Intro to Biomimicry course. The non-handbook portion, how long roughly does that take for a participant to go through? And I have two other questions.
Okay, do you want to ask those and I'll try and just answer them in sequence?
Okay, and in terms of the level of content, I think I saw something around how to do this. So are you specifically covering the design wheels as part of the intro? And then, if I was looking to consider offering this to, a group of people in my organization, are there any group rates being offered for the course?
Absolutely. So
Thank
let me
you.
answer those. Yeah, thank you so much for your great questions. Oh, of course, I forgot to quit WhatsApp. My bad. So how long are the courses? So it really depends on how long you want to actually take to go through them. We have some people who will blitz through it in a weekend. Just for example, the introduction to biomimicry. We have some people who drag it out over months. So, it's entirely doable. They're very short in and of their own, but the content is very rich. So it's kind of however you want to work it. We deliberately kept it very asynchronous, so very independent, and you can decide how you want to work it. And so what we start seeing with some various education groups is that they're actually kind of setting it up so that, for example, their students will go through the course over a set time frame, and then they will kind of integrate that with some other practical sessions and workshops and stuff. So short answer, if you were really feeling indulgent, you could probably get through it quite easily in a weekend. But we would recommend spending a little bit more time just so that you're not kind of getting that intensity of information, giving it time to settle. The level of content is, it's pretty in-depth. As I was saying, it's quite rich. What we really wanted to do is give a foundation across all of the different aspects. So we go into the various, what are the 3 C's of biomimicry? We look at what it actually means to go into, emulation, what it means to go into ethos, what it means to go into reconnect. I mean, this is just speaking specifically to the intro. We started looking at all of the other kind of paradigms that exist around it. So it really is quite in depth, and we do go through, we use the green wheels, not the Institute spiral, but yeah, it provides you with enough information for you to be able to start understanding it, and then the activities in the handbook kind of go into more depth, and the examples, because we break down each step as it goes. And then we also link out to things like Ask Nature and all of those kinds of resources that allow you to be able to really kind of start on that practice.
So you are kind of taking the student through the different stages of the challenge to design, or biology to design
Exactly.
methodology. Okay, great. That answers my question. Thank you for that.
Brilliant. Awesome. And then yes, group discounts. Exactly. We absolutely do. So everything is on our website under the FAQs page. So I can share that in the chat later if you like, but that'll give you all the kind of information. So we do offer some standard discounts for educators and students. And we actually kind of have a self-serve system there now as well. So you can fill in a form, pops out your discount code, and you can just go straight in. But if you're doing things like a bulk purchase, whether it's for corporates, for students, however, then you just contact us, and yeah, we'll sort that out with a separate invoice with discounts. And yeah, so I mean, it ranges between kind of 5% to 50%, depending on the context and who's buying for who, kind of thing. Yeah, does that answer that question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
We have 2 more questions in the chat. Would you like to have a go at them now or later, Jess?
Let me think. Sure, why not? Let's go over now.
Okay, so the first one is from Nadia. She asks, do you have students, have your students been able to use the certification and knowledge in work practice? Do you have any examples of this?
Great question. And I hope that Michaela will be able to jump in later and answer that question as well. But what we've seen is a lot of our members coming through and actually applying this knowledge into things like their master's degrees. So we've got a lot of master's students coming through. And then what we often do is then set them up in the Biomimicry Global Slack group, and then put them in touch with others so that they can kind of take that practice further. And I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of kind of interesting examples, seeing the blogs that people have written kind of thinking about this. We've had another past member, I should say. She developed a whole kind of organizational chart redesign process. We had another guy out in the Philippines who ended up creating a whole new business based on it, with this kind of thinking in mind. I mean, he had this idea sort of brewing in his mind for a while, and after doing the course, he got it all excited, like, great, now I'm actually going to do this, really based on these biomimicry principles. So I mean, it's quite a new course, so we're slowly trying to kind of see what everybody is doing with it over time, but it certainly does seem that there are kind of practical outputs. And something that I'll show you in the next step as well is kind of where to from here also.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one more question from Suruchi, and please excuse me if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. The question is, can an artist be also part of this regeneration revolution?
An artist?
Yes. And if
Please
so,
do.
in what ways?
Please. So it's always, I love this question because I always think about things like every time you watch a movie, a sci-fi movie especially, that was designed by an artist. That kind of vision of the world, every time somebody makes a movie, every time somebody designs a line of clothing, every time a new science experiment comes out, that whole expression of, art imitates life, imitates art. Artists are the ones out there giving agency to these incredible ideas. So I think it's such an incredibly powerful position if you can, for example, illustrate or, manifest in some way this vision of what the world could look like and really start putting that out there. I think it's so incredibly important because we have all of these. I mean, if you just Google, future 2030, future 2100, it's bleak, man. It's really bleak. And, I feel like there's just this kind of this dearth of really beautiful, positive images of like, a different narrative. And so whether that's art in the kind of traditional illustration sense, whether you're referring to something like design or music or dance or whatever it is, you're the storytellers. Tell us stories. Tell us stories that people really want to gravitate towards and, make these things real. So, we've worked with a guy whose image I used right back in the beginning. His name is Carl Schulschenk, and he's an illustrator, and he does a lot of concept art for movies. And, we've asked him to kind of illustrate a number of things for us because there were just no images that accurately portrayed this vision that we had. And it's been such a great process working with him and trying to actually to bring this to life. So please, please do get involved and bring this to life. Fantastic. So I'll just click forward here just to make sure we get through everything. I mean, we're really kind of getting to the end because I wanted to leave a little bit of time just to show you potentially the platform quite quickly. But after you finish the masterclass, the next step that some of you already know about is doing the Biomimicry practitioner certification. So this is something that has traditionally been offered through Biomimicry South Africa. And it is still just run by Claire at this point. But this is a 6-month practical project with mentorship from a B Pro. And at this point it is Claire, so you're pretty damn lucky. And so what happens is that in this incredible process is that you get to take an idea that you have, that you've been working on. And Nadia, I think this kind of comes back a lot to what you were asking. And through this process, you'll go through those biomimicry steps of scoping and discovering and creating and evaluating and actually bringing something to life. And this will be an idea of something that you've been working on. So for myself, this was actually an earlier education platform that I had developed years ago when I did this with her. Friends of ours have looked at houses, other people have looked at business systems, other people have looked at product design. And so what happens is that you work with Claire over a series of months through this kind of mentorship process, and you will actually develop something based on this idea using biomimicry methodology. And you can then take this forward into the world in whichever way you like. And at the end of that, you will get a biomimicry practitioner certification. I feel like I'm probably going to get a question around this, so I'm going to preemptively answer it and say that no, this is not an academic certification, so it doesn't count towards course credits or anything, but that's really not the world that we play in. So we kind of have a lot of the more high-end academic courses, which will offer you things like your master's, PhD, and those kinds of qualifications, whereas we sit more in the, we're more interested in the direct practical application world and getting people just into this world. So that is a great next step that I can highly recommend from the courses that really kind of just brings this whole thing to life. And you can combine that with additional workshops that are often run. as well as immersion. So we take people out into nature, which is always incredibly exciting. And so then these are really where you get to actually spend time out in nature and run workshops and, you know, really get to grips with everything that is happening out there, learn directly from it in context and just explore nature. I mean, you know, that's the beauty of all of this really, is that it's based in nature. So you have to bring it back at that point. So those are the 3 courses that we run, and the where to from there as well. And I know that Biljana and the Biomimicry Switzerland crew will be sending out some other details along the way. I think they might be in the chat and probably in a follow-up message. And so I thought that just briefly, before I end the presentation, I thought that I would just quickly show you what the courses look like, if we have time for that. Biljana, is that okay? Otherwise, happy to just switch over to chat if we...
Perfectly fine. Please go ahead. I'm sure people are interested.
Fantastic. So let me see if I can get out of this into next thing. So this is what the course looks like on the back end. So for example, this is the introduction to biomimicry.
We are not seeing it yet, Jess. Maybe you will need to change the window. We keep on seeing the PowerPoint.
Oh, screen sharing is paused. Oh no.
That's okay. Just stop it and share again.
Okay, cool. Let me do that. 1 second. Stop share. Go back to Zoom. Share screen. This one. Okay, can you see my screen?
Now it works perfectly. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for pointing that out. That would have been a little awkward. Cool. So this is the course in the back end. Let's make this full screen so it looks better. And so within each module, within each course, I have a whole set of modules. So for example, this is the why biomimicry module that I was telling you about. We have what is biomimicry, and then, you know, for example, how do we do biomimicry? So, you know, you'll be able to see within each one, this is actually a little bit of what it contains. And there is a short assessment at the end of each one. And I mean, the assessment is not designed to trick you or catch you out or anything. We're really not interested in passing and failing things, to be honest. But it just serves to reinforce the concepts that you've just learned within all these things. So for example, if we go into this section, hopefully it'll load. So you'll see all of the videos here, and you can see this one's also nice and short. It's just 6 minutes 13, and you'll be able to play and keep going until the next one. So that is largely what the platform looks like across each course. And yeah, so at any point you can kind of navigate back and just review all of these things and where you're at, and it'll show you your progress bar and everything. And then also just thought that I'd show you this. These are what the handbooks look like. So you'll see that, again, these are the ones they'll follow the exact same kind of sections, but this is this handbook is from the why section of Introduction to Biomimicry. Then we'll have a how and we'll have a what. And within each of these things, you'll see that there are a whole lot of other sections. So this just breaks it down into looking at things like the big picture, and we have all of our kind of our quotes and the links that you can follow, and just really a kind of a more comprehensive look at the content that we were covering, as I mentioned. So yeah, these are all available online at any time. And then you're also welcome to just email me and we can get you a downloadable copy as well. So that's what the why one looks like. We got the what is biomimicry, got the how do we do biomimicry. So no, again, we're just kind of speaking about everything in more details, your what, why, and how, you're learning about, learning versus from, all of these kinds of things. We have the Life Principles book, which also again goes into loads of detail about all the Earth's operating conditions, and really so on and so on. So they're just far richer and go into far more detail. And the content is really, it echoes everything that's in the courses, but just so much more. And then lastly, we have the Biomimicry Masterclass, which is a beast of a book. I'm not going to lie, it's it's a big one, but yeah, so it's just really helpful because it allows you to kind of navigate all of this really dense information in a slightly more manageable way. And a lot of these things that we start going into, like systems thinking, iceberg models, systems, spiral dynamics, and all of those, they do require, if you're not familiar with it, it requires a bit more kind of stop and think time. And so that's really what this provides. So that is what it looks like. And if I just run back to the last slide.
We have a couple of questions in the chat. Leon Wang is asking if Biomimicry Switzerland and Learn Biomimicry is in need for more B-Pro mentors and collaborators for the practical project mentorship. And maybe you can answer as Biomimicry South Africa, and we can answer as Biomimicry Switzerland.
Absolutely, yeah, please. Oh, is that from Leon?
Yes.
Nice. Hello. Yeah, please just drop us a line. And yeah, definitely we're going to start scaling. We want to make this as possible. And that's something that Claire and I are starting to talk about is, how do we increase that B-Pro network of mentors for that process. So yes, please drop us a line. Let's chat.
And for us, yes, we also would love to welcome you into the Biomimicry Switzerland network. If you are, Venetia will drop a link where you can actually follow us or register. At this stage, we as Biomimicry Switzerland cannot offer a paid mentorship, a compensated mentorship or collaboration position, but who knows in the future, right? So if you're willing to give us a little bit of the benefit of the doubt and see if we can work together on a pro bono, we are all doing it for free. At this stage, all of us in Biomimicry Switzerland are doing it for free. So this is where we are, right? And also, Marsha was asking, is it possible to get the books as a standalone?
Not currently, but the books, to be honest, are really the bulk of the content actually sits in the books. And the courses are really just, a nice way of kind of getting to know and understand that content. So no, not currently, but as soon as we have that as an option, if and when, we will absolutely let everyone know. Great question, thank you.
We have Monica. Monica, can you please unmute yourself and present yourself? It's so nice to have people from all over the world.
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
I put my camera, but I am not so fancy. I am, okay. I will put my camera because it's nice to have this network. You see me now? I don't see. ¿Me ves? Hablante. Okay. Yes, I am here. So, yes, it was amazing, the meeting. So I am, if you need me, I am here for the Spanish and English, more or less. So we need
Gracias.
Gracias. We need to do some kind of global help for all of us. Yes, here in Argentina, it's very, very difficult now, but well, in all the places. So I know Leon. Leon come to Argentina no, 2 years ago. So I have a meeting with him also. So it's nice to have this kind of network. So
Beautiful.
And for those of you who don't know, Monica is from Biomimicry, Argentina.
yes.
And actually, would you mind just dropping in the chat box where are you at the moment? In which country are you at the moment in? So that we kind of get a picture and start to understand from how many people have we managed to bring this, from how many countries have we managed to bring the people together?
I am in Buenos Aires. It's the capital of Argentina. Argentina is a huge country. And I am I have my small group with my biology. I am architect. I am, my specialization is interior design. And I have my interior designer partner and the biology too. And we are making researching. And in Spanish, we do a little of some kind of learning also, biomimicry now.
Thank you. And Stefano is joining us from Utrecht. So thank you for letting us know, Stefano.
Yes, hello, hi everyone. Sorry, I didn't finish all the message, unfortunately. Yeah, as I said, I'm from Utrecht. I'm studying bio-inspired innovations. It's a master course here. And I'm participating to the Global Design Challenge 2021. And my question is, I'm interested, I will be interested at least, in creating also this kind of platform or a similar one for Italy, because I'm from Italy, as I said in the chat. And yeah, in Italy, we are really, yeah, it doesn't exist at all. Biomimicry is not even known as a topic. And to me, it was really, yeah, inspired when I came here from Italy the first time to see all this principle, these amazing things that could be done with this, with the help of this topic. So it will be great to bring also a bit of this knowledge to my country. And yeah, I was wondering which are the steps that I can take. Yeah, I'm maybe, I don't know, too young yet to create a such platform like that. I don't know, but yeah, I'm really passionate in the topic, and I would like to bring this knowledge to my country, as I said.
Beautiful. What a great question. And I feel like there are a lot of people in this chat who can contribute to that answer. But I would say, how about you work on our Italian translation, and then voila.
Yeah, true.
I mean, no, absolutely. Of course, you can create something like this, you know, of your own. Absolutely, it does take quite a long time, obviously. But I mean, you know, we're really constantly trying to just, you know, hear what else is out there, and something that we're starting to work on with people is actually translations and subtitles in different languages, so that it can be more globally accessible. So we're starting with different subtitle languages. Ultimately, we'd love to be able to kind of actually have audio that's in the different languages. But then also looking at, you know, developing different modules that are kind of quite specific, for example, to your field or your country and everything else as well. So what a lot of people are using our platforms for, our courses for, are kind of, these provide a very good foundation, and then they're able to, you know, add other specializations on top of that. So for example, you know, biomimicry into materials design or architecture or whatever it is, but this really covers the foundations. Yeah, so I don't think that exactly answered your question, but I would just say, yeah, I wouldn't reinvent the wheel necessarily unless you really want to, but yeah, otherwise, if you want to find a way to work together, let's do that. Give us a chance.
Okay, I will be honored to eventually.
Please.
Thank you for your reply.
It's amazing seeing all the answers come through. Bonsoir, buongiorno, grazie. Who else have we got here? Goeienaand. This is so cool. Biliana, I think if there are no other questions at this very moment, my last slide is literally a link to the website. So would you like to share that in the chat, or can I pop over there and then go on to the next slide?
I see Venetia has her hand up, so I would like to offer the floor to her before we go to the last slide.
Yes, there was a question from Michaela. So if Michaela could unmute herself and ask you that, because it's just lost in the chat at this point. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah,
I think it was the first question. the first question always gets lost. So now my question to you, Jess, was what was your very first encounter with biomimicry, and what did it make you feel like?
You know, it's such an odd one, actually, but there was this inner city newspaper that would do the rounds. I used to work like in the City Bowl, and somebody came up to me and said, you know, somebody that I knew, and they said, you know, wasn't this your old lecturer? You know, there's an interview in here with her. And I looked at it and I was like, oh yes, absolutely, that's Andrea. And this interview is about her exposure, funny enough, to biomimicry. And Claire had been running workshops with the design lecturers at the college that I had studied at. And I got so excited by this, and I immediately just, you know, dropped everything and messaged Claire and I said, where are you? We need to speak. And I think I just got so incredibly excited because I am through and through and through a total nature nerd. I mean, I've mentioned it before, but like, you know, I really, you know, in school days, I couldn't do maths and science. It just wasn't my gig. So that kind of prohibited me from actually studying biology. So I went off and studied design instead. But I mean, biology is always like so close to my heart. And so when I saw biomimicry, I got so excited because it was marrying the thing that I was passionate about with the thing that I was, you know, trained to do. And so for me, this was suddenly like, this is what I've been waiting for. Oh my God. And I went up to, you know, met with Claire and I said, like, this is what I need in my life. And she said, oh, a graphic designer, I need one of those. And yeah, so that was kind of, you know, how we started. But I think for me, it was the sudden excitement that this existed as a potential bridging between design and biology.
Another quick question. Thank you so much for this one. Nadia is asking, does the course provide guidance on applications of biomimicry beyond form and function? And she's particularly interested in the applications around social innovation and organizational design and culture.
So this is why we said we were excited for you to get to the masterclass, because yes, that's where it's at. So we literally cover all of that. So organizational design and business systems and economic systems and all that. So yeah, it does.
And just to give you an example, I would like to invite Michaela to unmute herself and to tell us what is she going to talk about next time. Because Michaela is one of the beautiful people in this world who did the classes with Jess and Claire and did something afterwards with the knowledge she gained. So Michaela, please.
Yeah, so this is a nice transition for next month. You'll be joining us again after Claire and Jess this time. I'm Jess and Claire in the background. I followed the classes of Learn Biomimicry, fell in love with biomimicry instantly, and had a revelation during one night at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I need to write a book about biomimicry applied to human communication. And this is what I did. And I used the mentoring program from Claire to develop this project and to finish my book within this 6 month period. So if I can do it, you can. And in 1 month, I will explain to you everything about it. Thanks, Claire and Jess.
Thank
This
you,
is,
sir.
Thanks,
this is
Michaela.
Kat Burrell from Chicago, US. Quick question. Just background, I am just getting involved in biomimicry. I did take some classes from Margot Farnsworth. If I do sign up for the 3-pack course program, does that include the project mentorship, or is that an additional activity?
That's an additional activity afterwards, yeah.
Okay. Is that on the website? I was just having some problems poking around.
So we're still in the process of transitioning over, but I'll share all the links in a minute. I just didn't want to kind of half concentrate. But yeah, absolutely, that's on the Biomimicry website where you can kind of find out more information. And yeah, I'll share those links with you soon. Thanks for asking.
I have another quick request. In case you would like to share your knowledge and your how-to, you're applying biomimicry into your work, we would like to have you as a speaker. So do please get in contact with us, with Venetia, with myself, and we would sit down, have a chat, and decide when you're going to present your work. So we are actively looking for speakers to deliver webinars and to share the work we all love. So please take this into account and don't shy away. Beautiful. You already know who is going to be our next speaker. It is going to be on the 14th of April, which is a Wednesday, same time, from 6 o'clock until 7 o'clock Eastern European time. So we will be sending you an invitation. If you have joined our newsletter, you will get the invitation into your mailbox. Otherwise, you'll have to follow us either on LinkedIn or on Facebook. But I would advise you to join our email list, right? And because we have a little bit more time, I would like to invite very quickly Catherine. Catherine, and she's going to tell you a little bit. Catherine, I used to see you, now I don't see you.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, beautiful. Can you speak
Hello.
briefly to the work you are doing and the team you're working with around mapping biomimicry in Switzerland, so that people get to know what is happening?
So that's thank you very much for introducing me and this project particularly. So it's something that we are doing, we have been doing for a few months, and with 4 of us. And it's about listing all the biomimicry practitioners in Switzerland. And so we have been working on a research lab, a company, startup, and consultancy, and yes, different forum. We have a different project in Switzerland that we know that are going on bio-inspired design, and we would like to really list them. And we have a map that is building for now, and it's getting there, and we are very excited about that. It's very nice to know the practitioners that are around, so that we can connect to each other, and we can really make it to enhance all the process and spread the meme of biomimicry around. And so we are, it's about biomimicry, but we open it to more bio-inspired design. And, but so that's a very exciting project. And I think it will be in the next, so we will have a first map for the next newsletter. So please enroll to our newsletter, and so you will get it. And if you want to be listed also in our project, please contact us too. We don't have everyone yet, so it's not an exhaustive one for the moment, but we will try our best to bring people and to have more people and to know what is going on in Switzerland. And there is many things, so it's very nice to know all these projects in many different sections and sectors. And so thank you. And also in education, so we know that there is many things with university, and also I'm an educator, so we really try, we have a team, and I know that some of you are here, so Agathe and Bruno and Amrita, and so we really try to bring it to education network in Switzerland. And thank you, Biljana, for this this contact.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Any questions? Any questions? Please feel free to unmute and ask.
In the meantime, while I'm sure you guys are all racking your brains for great questions, I'm just going to say thank you so much for all of the wonderful questions and participation that we've had this evening. It's been really, really wonderful chatting to all of you.
So maybe I have one question to you, Jess. I was wondering, or maybe it would be more, if Claire was here, maybe it was more for her, I don't know. It was about education. So how is it in South Africa? So how is it in high school, for example? Is it part of a kind of a STEAM program or something? Is biomimicry getting its way, I mean, to education?
Not so much yet at high school level or in kind of, typical school, sort of the K-12 level, but in universities, it is slowly kind of making its way into curriculums, which is really exciting. Okay. So, the usual candidates, the biology, the engineering, actually chemical engineering quite a lot, which is great. We need chemical engineers who practice biomimicry. But yeah, slowly but surely.
Okay.
Catherine, I will also add that here in Canada, there's a big push in the university level, especially around fashion and design for future textile industry. So I have a couple of connections at colleges here in Canada that are just starting a curriculum and would love guidance from others. So we can connect those cohorts because they're not really sure where to start. That might be a good connection for you.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Leon.
Yeah. Hey, Prince. Bit of an expansion on my previous question, and also just to turn it to you. You've been giving a lot here, and I deeply appreciate that. So huge appreciation to you. Wanted to throw an ask to you and ask, what asks do you have for all of us that are here today? I don't think 39 people, and also those that are going to be listening and the recordings and the ripplings. Do you have any resources you need, people you need, anything that you need, calls to action, whatever it might be? Would love to hear more about that.
Amazing. I wish you'd asked that in the beginning. I would have been thinking this whole time. Thank you so much, Leon. Those are really, really wonderful and generous questions. Well, I would say off the top of the bat, if you liked what you saw, please do pass on the word, recommend it. We really are just slowly trying to, get out into the world. And yeah, if you have any kind of questions on, how you might want to integrate this, for example, into a class, into a company, into anything, reach out. We're always, we're really wanting to really kind of get it as far as possible. If you really, really liked it, you can always sign up. I'm not going to say no. But just as more of a kind of company need, at the moment, we're actually looking for a marketer to join our team. So between Claire, Alistair, and myself, we're set with kind of business structure, and obviously between Claire and I, we know a lot about biomimicry. And since transitioning into this world, there's been a kind of a rapid, hat flipping exercise and learning all sorts of new and amazing things. But a gap that we're definitely still trying to fill is a marketer, but we're looking for somebody from a marketing background. It's been a really, really grueling process because we've had some amazing people come through from a biomimicry background, but we're looking for somebody kind of from that kind of hardcore salesy person who can really kind of help us understand that part of things and work together with us. So yeah, if you hear of anybody, let us know as well. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Wonderful to hear. Definitely, can you send me that job opportunity or project opportunity description, and I'll pass it on to my networks.
With pleasure. Thank you so much.
And we do have a couple of call to actions because we did think about it. The first one is subscribe to our newsletter. The second one is get in touch if you want to be a speaker or if you want to be put on the Biomimicry map Switzerland. And the third one is if you would like to donate. We are happy to share a link in the chat. We don't insist, but if you would like, we'll be happy to accept. Would you like to share your last slide, Jess?
With pleasure. Let me see if I can find it again. There we go. So I've posted the link to our website in the chat, but there it is again, in case anybody's missing it. So it's very function-based, so learnbiomimicry.com. So that's where you can find us. And then lastly, this is for Biomimicry Switzerland. So I am personally very excited for this talk and can't wait.
Yes, thank you so much. This is going to be Michaela, who is going to tell us about her biomimicry journey, from discovering to writing her book about bio-inspired human communication. And as I have already read the book, I can tell you that it's amazing and it is very, very practical. So that's all from us. On behalf of the Biomimicry Association Switzerland, I would like to say a big thank you for joining us today. I would like all the Biomimicry members of Switzerland to wave their hands so that you get to see who we are, and please come and join us. We are looking very much forward to collaborating with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a lovely evening, and we would love to see you again on the 14th of April to listen to Michaela's story. Jess, thank you so much. Claire, on behalf of all of us, also say thank you to Claire. It was a wonderful experience having you as our first guest. I'm so happy that you got so many questions about the courses, and I hope really that more and more people will be taking the courses. Again, they're amazing. I did them, and they're really, even my husband was looking at it like, I don't believe that. I'm like, you better believe it. So that's all from us. Have a lovely evening, enjoy yourselves, and we see you on the 14th of April, same time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.